Basil Valdez, the Apo Hiking Society, Parokya ni Edgar, Bukas Palad, the Ateneo Glee Club, and many more. All homegrown talents at the Ateneo de Manila University. Get to know the current music environment at the Ateneo. Tune in to Himig Ateneo. Himig Ateneo. Listen to the Blue Eagles sing. Himig Ateneo. Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle ng Manila, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Radyo Katipunan is now online. See our live feed on facebook.com/Radyo Katipunan. Check out our Instagram and our Twitter at Radyo Katipunan and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Radyo Katipunan FM for more exclusive content.
Katipunan.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, dunong at tulog. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
May nag-feedback lang. Next, si Arby. Any last final
I'm not sure.
verdict?
I'll impersonate Freddy Benson.
This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo 𝒍𝒌𝒍𝒐𝒓𝒆, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
May nag-feedback lang. I'm not sure.
I'll impersonate Franny Benson from iCarly. Here's 5.
Wait lang,
4,
Kevin, excuse me.
3.
Who has the feedback? I'm not sure kung kanina nila. Mute and... Is it everyone? Okay. 3. And what's poppin'? And welcome to Pop again. Stop for all things pop, where we talk about all things pop culture from here in the Philippines to the rest of the globe. And super international ng ating episode today dahil meron tayong mga international correspondents. International correspondents. And this is a really special episode because, of course, first of all, this is our 50th episode, so congrats everyone. We have made it to number 50. And that's not the only special thing we're talking about today because it's another Taylor Swift episode that nobody anticipated, but we're here and we're so excited to be talking about her latest album, Folklore. And before anything else, before we go on with the rest of the show, let's introduce our co-host for the episode. Let's welcome our Scholars of Swift from our previous Taylor Swift episode. Reg is here from the other street, literally. Welcome back.
Yes, hello.
Gusto kong sinasabi yung nasa kabilang street ka
Oo.
lang all the time.
Magkapit-bahay lang kami.
And from Espanya, but literally Espanya, andito si Miss Nathania.
Isipin taga-Uste ako.
Taga-Uste pala. Welcome back.
Uste pala. Good to be back.
And of course, from Chromatica, Arby is back.
Nagpo-push through yung visa ko sa Chromatica. Gusto ko nang lumipat.
Who doesn't, right? And Franz is also here with us.
Hello.
From Thailand naman siya.
Sawadika.
And also joining us is Kevin. He hasn't joined an episode in so long. Maybe 50 episodes ago na yata yung episode niya. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, everyone.
So ito, nagsibalikan na lahat ng mga Swifties sa mundo. And we are here, of course, to talk about the latest album, as we mentioned earlier. So, ano nga ba ang nangyari? Kamusta kayo lahat? I mean, that's the first question because I don't know what to feel at the moment.
I still have so many feels. I mean, I literally cried for 3 days straight before going to sleep because like the lyrics like might have seeped to my brain, and then like probably because my brain overthought some of the lyrics, and you know how we all would apply lyrics to whatever is going on in our lives, then we get emotionally overwhelmed. Then yeah, that's exactly what I've been feeling before bed for the past 3 days since this album came out.
I would say the same. Like, my gosh. Like, everyone was asking me, kamusta ka? I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take it. I can't deal with it. But I guess we'll talk more. Si Reg was one of them. Di ko pa natatapos yung album. Reg was like, oh, kamusta ka? I was like, oh my gosh, I can't. Even, I think si Franz din eh. Franz messaged me mga Friday night. I only answered him mga Sunday morning. Ganun.
Yeah.
That was how like... Pero kayo, Nat, Reg, Franz, Arby.
For me, I'm moving places, so I've been packing up my stuff the whole week, and ito yung soundtrack ko. So like thinking about moving on, memories, sobrang sendy, as in, durog, yun yung masasabi ko.
Meron ka pang mga emotions sa parang, oh, I'm moving, I have this
Diba? To
soundtrack.
put in a box and to set them aside, to create stories out of them, diba?
Ako naman on my end,
Red.
it's very, sorry, like on my end, like, hindi ko pa siyang na-process right away kasi syempre kalagitnaan ng workday, di ba? So sobrang hindi ko pa siyang napakinggan ng maayos, no? But I gave it siguro a proper listen later on in the afternoon on Friday. And then saka ko nang binasa lahat ng, by that time all the lyrics were up na, right? So saka na akong nag-deep listen. And I'm just very proud of her single tear. More later.
Yeah.
Ako
Well,
naman,
Okay,
it's
say go.
crazy. Sorry, it's crazy kasi it was so sad, right, Cholo?
Yeah, it still is.
It was so sad. And then like every time I listen to it, nakaka-in-love yung everything about it, the way it was produced, that how the lyrics were written. And then I went into like watching yung mga reactions of people, yung mga people talking about Easter eggs and everything. And I was just like, nakakatuwa. And then I fell in love with it. It's the first thing I listen to in the morning, the last thing I listen to before sleeping.
How do you survive a day doing that? I can't.
It's literally like while I'm working. That's the nice thing about it. It's something that you can play in the background and it's just really calming, right? Because
I
of
don't
the
know,
way
not
that
for
music.
me.
Wag mo kasi pakinggan yung lyrics.
Totoo. Get.
Totoo.
Yeah.
Wala na, hindi ko na matanggal eh.
Note to self.
And siguro like yung pinaka na feel ko, parang gusto ko na mag-drive to the mountains and the beach. Ganun, while listening to
Exactly.
this.
You know what? Totoo yan.
More like, I wanna go to like Baguio. Like Camp
True.
John Day.
O, diba si Taylor Swift nakapag-Baguio, diba? May
True.
pa-pine tree.
And literally all the people rushed to find their own folklore.
Their Baguio photo.
Meron ako.
Same. May nakuha ko sa Baol
That's so
right
true.
away.
Yeah, my vacation houses don't even have forests. Like, I'm so feeling bad right now. So,
Si Arby naman.
Kaya nga
Before
nag-pray pa nga ako today. Sabi ko parang vibes, gano'n.
Actually, i-edit ko to ng black and white lahat para...
Ay, gusto ko yun. Oo.
Pwede.
Winner.
Arby, ikaw. Si Arby
What?
kasi musician yan. Musician
Diyos ko,
din yan.
nako,
Yeah.
yun na nga, tinanong ko si Cholo, pwede ba ako sumali dito kahit sakto lang yung insights? Kasi, I've been, when I listened to this one, passively listening lang kasi I've been so busy with everything. Pero kahit passively listening, iba eh. Kasi nung Friday actually, lasing ako kasi someone canceled their plans on me. So I decided to, it's fine kasi baka daw may nakausap siyang COVID positive. So parang, okay, sige, fine. So, anyway, and then I listened to this album. Kasi yun, nalasing ako when I was listening to it kasi hindi siya kayang pinapakinggan mo lang siya ng you're not feeling sad about it. Tapos I've been tweeting na parang, uy, message ko kaya ex ko. Tapos makikita ko yung tweets ng ex ko na sabi niya, may message din niya yung ex niya. So parang ako, uy, ako yun ah. So,
Actually, minessage din niya ako.
ay,
Tatanungin ko nga sana siya tungkol sa'yo eh, pero...
ayun na nga. Naku, dapat ginawa mo.
Sige, mamaya after this, i-message natin siya.
Grabe, inspiring kalat everywhere, no?
Mm-mm. Mismo.
Pero ayun, so that's like sort of our short kamustahan session. Pero let's go to the real preamble. May preamble talaga, parang ano.
okay,
Parang,
I'm gonna try to be as calm as possible. So throughout
we
this
will all
entire
try,
thing.
but
So,
like, I
We
don't
will
know
all
how
try.
it's gonna work.
I mean,
But
look at
yun
me
nga,
right now. I'm kind of stuttering. It's like, I just can't contain it.
So yeah, last year, yun nga, we had our Scholars of Swift episode. That was a really long 2-hour, 30-minute episode.
Super.
And I mean, we don't regret any of it, and we love her that much. And you can go listen to all our why we love Taylor Swift, why we love Lover, and all the tracks that we love about Lover, and our god tier Taylor Swift songs of the past in episode 13, Scholars of Swift, still on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever. But now, okay, we're going to the latest album. Since we last released our episode we've seen nonstop releases from Taylor. We've had Beautiful Ghosts from Cats and the actual Cats movie. Christmas Tree Farm, the Christmas song, The Man music video, Miss Americana documentary, the City of Lover concert. You know, she's nonstop. Any thoughts muna siguro about those? I mean, before anything else? Ako siguro, I just want to say how Miss Americana is just like such a good documentary.
Oh my God,
Especially,
same.
I mean, tayo kasi we're Swifties. We understand her struggle, or
Yeah.
at least we believe we understand what she's going through. But for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
outside the circle or the fandom, it's something na you'll get to understand where she's coming from even more, especially during that apocalypse of a summer of 2016 for her. That was just like crazy. And you just realize how, I mean, one, of course, how powerful she continues to be, but also how vulnerable she is, even more like when you hear her talk about it, aside from the music. So, Miss Americana, I mean, maybe we should make another episode about that, but I just want to commend that documentary. Kayo, may mga nagustuhan ba kayo
No,
sa
and
mga
the
releases
chosen
ngayon?
clips that they used in
Yeah.
Miss Americana. Like, I mean, you as a fan always feel like you've watched everything, but when they string it together like that, and the kind of trying to show the kind of person she is and what she's capable, both the good side, the lower sides. That, I mean, it's so hard not to admire her. Parang shocks, like she's such a creative person, but at the same time, she's willing to be herself, and I think that's something I find really inspiring. Like based on that documentary, that was really great.
And
Exactly.
like, I guess the fact that she chose to be political na at that point was very important. And I guess very, very relatable, especially now sa Pilipinas na, okay, sino ba magsasalita? Sino hindi magsasalita? Sino yung pupunta sa Amanpolo or whatever, ganyan. But
My gosh.
I mean, we used to say she's our own Taylor Swift story, but maybe it's a different case. But anyway, enough with the shade. Anything else you loved from all those releases?
Yeah. I really okay. So when I first saw Miss Americana, I remember like when it came to the part where Taylor was explaining that like when she was at award shows, like aside from her mom, like she didn't have anyone to cling on to when like let's say she won an award or something, and then when she narrated like whatever she felt during 2016 and all that, and how she found Joe and everything, like her life literally went better. Like that, it really struck a chord with me as someone who has been dealing with depression. So, and then it also felt really inspiring to me that she decided to like, you know what, I don't care what the critics say. I'm just gonna speak out my own opinions, and the rest is history. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Pero ako, ano pa ba? I also really liked the whole, I mean, Kevin has really good points about that, especially for people going through things, especially for celebrities, I guess, na, people just always put them on the pedestal and bash them all they want. But, at the end of the day, they're just human like us, of course, but they have the spotlight. And it's also a nice insight for people who aren't necessarily aware of industry inside stuff.
Yeah.
Pero I also really like...
I'm also looking at you toxic stans who are like really doxing the critics right now, especially with that Voodoo BS. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and aside from that nga, parang, yeah, I also really like Beautiful Ghost. It's such a haunting song, and bumagay siya sa Cats na movie. So, yeah.
I agree.
That was just like a highlight of Cats.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that's saying
Also,
something.
I know. Oy, pero Cats apologist ako. So I know I will be judged for this. But I enjoyed
didn't watch it. As in, sabi ko hindi ko kaya.
I enjoyed it ironically kasi sobrang absurd niya. I think the key lang is to go into it with absolutely no expectations at all. I mean, like, do not expect anything. Do not expect the plot. Like, everything about it is just so absurd. And the fact that they managed to, like, like, get all these A-list actors to do that. It's like I was very entertained, like to say the least, and I thought that Taylor pulled off also the the song. And I think it's great that, kasi when Andrew Lloyd Webber was talking about how they collaborated on it, when she heard palang the melody that he played out, she like knew the lyrics to it right away. She knew the concept that she wanted to fly with. And like, I think for me that speaks a lot about Taylor's talent. And oh my God, finally people are starting to realize how talented she is. Right? So that's something probably that I'm gonna point out later. But one other release that I liked in the last year was the City of Lover concert. And na-appreciate ko talaga siya because compared to her previous concerts, like na sobrang spectacle, like Reputation and Red and 1989, it's very flashy, very glittery, napaka-stripped bare ng City of Lover. It's just her and the stage, and it's very minimalist, and it really gets to concentrate on the intimacy of her writing and of the music. And I like that best about it because I've always maintained na I love Taylor at her most vulnerable. So I think that really brought out the best in her songwriting. Ayon.
And the acoustic versions, my gosh.
Yes.
Hands down.
I cried.
Sobrang galing.
But, after all those things that were released, we are here right now. Just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she announced Folklore, which is her surprise album made during the quarantine. That was last Thursday night for the Philippines. That was, anong date yun? Like, we need to memorialize that day. That was July 23rd.
Yeah,
And
23.
that also happened to be the 10th year anniversary of One Direction. So power move once again. I don't know if you have to do anything with that. But, something that was announced at noon and released for a midnight release was just like unheard of from Taylor Swift, because our previous conversation nga parang, we already know her pattern, how she would do it. She's gonna release a completely
the build up, the clues, everything.
Yeah.
You're begging for the album at by 4 months before, right? And here you have this sudden release. And nakakatawa nga kasi like I'm not a directioner, but like I felt the hype that they were posting happy 10th anniversary, whatever. Tapos yung release lang nila parang PowerPoint presentation lang pala. So like what was
Prezi
all
naman,
that hype
Prezi.
about? Prezi, ganon. So parang what? I mean, okay, but then Taylor Swift is like, wow.
I mean, yun na nga parang
Sobrang power move nun.
I feel like we were back in 2010. Na parang, oh my gosh, One Direction. And then, susunod Taylor Swift. And then we were like, oh my gosh. Kasi I'm a Directioner as well. But like, when Taylor released it, I was like, bye One Direction. I'm back on the Taylor train. And here I am. Si Kevin wants to say something yata.
I forgot. Okay, like I remember, like okay, I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
Sige, mamaya na lang. Remember that. But aside from that, syempre, yun na nga. We previously said, ano ba yung gagawin niya next? We knew she was gonna do her re-recordings. That was what was planned. City of Lover tour. But we were like, what's her music gonna sound like? Because she's happy for one. And like we literally had no idea, and we left it with an open-ended question, like what's Taylor gonna do next? And now we know it's like an indie folk pop album that God tier, safe and sound, finally has companions with this new album. So I mean, let's get to the album.
We were discussing it in the last review, the Reg. We were saying, what else is next for her, given that she's happy, and we trust that she'll always be able to form some narrative, whether or not it's true. And I think before she's a singer, she's a creative spirit and storyteller, and that will always take precedence in her artistic identity, diba? And this is proof. I mean, this album is not about like a mega hit or whatever. It's this time it's critical acclaim, and I am excited like for the next
Yeah.
few months for this to generate even more hype with like all not just mainstream media but like everywhere, diba?
Yeah, I completely agree, Nat, no? Like when we were talking about it last time, yung ability niya to tell a story. And what's super great about this is that it really, I think, sheds a light on that particular talent of hers. Na um, for the longest time, people have always had the perception that her music puts her at the center. Even though we've already seen that she has a tendency na talaga even before to create narratives, whether or not they're about her. Pero they never took the center stage in her albums kasi, di ba? Ang parating naha-highlight ay yung mga ex-boyfriend na songs niya, ganyan-ganyan, mga stuff where we think she's throwing shade and stuff like that. So, dito talaga, like, alam natin that she is creating a story or speaking out of personas. Well, parang poetry, gano'n. So she's speaking out of personas and she says this actively, and you can see it also in like the way the songs are written. And what's great about it is it doesn't parang like it really harks to something that we Swifties knew all along, which is that she doesn't need to be like in a quote unquote bad place, or she doesn't need to be like dating someone necessarily, or like parang going through some tumult of the heart for her to be able to write well.
Yeah.
So ayun.
Actually, to add to what Reg said,
Talent.
super totally agree. Kasi Cholo and I talked about this, and it's so hard to write melodies or to write lyrics. Pero si Taylor Swift, he was able to do it in the confines of her home during quarantine. Like, I tweeted this na nga na sana all productive nung quarantine nila. Kasi parang siya nakapagsulat ng buong album, di ba, 16 songs.
Yeah.
Tapos for sure, may mga songs siya na, sige, I don't want this. So she probably wrote more. And then she took inspiration from the house she was confined in. Diba? So that was really good. So that was like inspiration lang. She found inspiration even in the most mundane things, like being quarantined. And for me, that's just magical talaga.
And yeah, parang yun nga, parang given all of that you've said, Reg and Nat and Arby, parang we had no idea what was going on. It's like, hey, here's an album, we're gonna drop it on you. We had no prior single to like, oh, this is what it might sound like. There's no marketing na, hey. It's just pure Taylor Swift out of nowhere that we were like, take it or leave it. I'm just dropping a new album. Ikaw na bahala. But of course, for us Swifties, we're gonna appreciate, I guess, whatever she'd put out. And it just so happens na yun nga, it's very magical na it's just like amazing aside from our own biases na, we love her, but this album proves that our love for her is more than our love, and it's just
Yes,
also the
and
music.
she's a versatile queen. Alam mo yun,
Yes,
diba?
yes.
From exes to like advocacies to like simple stuff about historical houses. Very
And ito yung
diverse.
proof. I think yung proof na masasabi ko is like seeing all these people who were tweeting in 2016 being all like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift's new album. I'm like, where you were the ones like hating on her, bashing her, like
You
also
gave
like,
her the trauma.
Oh my god.
yeah, you favored the drama and you
We're so
favored Kanye,
vindicated.
right? I mean,
Diba?
we
In the end, taste always wins, diba?
But you know, I'm very happy
I love that.
kasi I have friends na who hate Taylor Swift daw from her. Parang feel nila dramatic siya, or like she's always starting fights, or like laging may issue. Pero nag-convert sila when they heard Folklore na, oh, I've never heard something so pure or so raw, na full emotions. Tas walang drama involved dito. It's just her heart.
this is
So it
one
was
of the
really
only
lovely.
conversions that we agree on. The Taylor Swift conversion.
Yes. I'll jump in what Arby said, no, like super quickly. Kasi I've also seen like my fair share of people on my feed na converts bigla. And syempre as a Swiftie, I'm so vindicated. But as a Swiftie also, as avid listeners of her albums before, like we do know ever since na may ganito siyang capacity.
Yeah.
We've seen it in like All Too Well and the mellower track and State of Grace, etc. So in Holy Ground, like we've seen glimpses of this. No, they just never of course, naha-hype lang yung ibang, the more poppy, bubblegummy stuff on the albums and stuff. But, like, just harking back to what Arby said, there was a tweet that I saw from a culture writer, from a BuzzFeed culture writer, who, and she said this, I'll just read it out. And I think you guys will agree, no? Sabi niya, I think if people didn't blindly hate young women and the things that they love, they might have recognized that Taylor Swift has been one of the greatest lyricists of this century since she was a teenager, regardless of whether the music is categorized as alternative on iTunes. And then she said, Taylor wrote our song for her freshman talent show in about 20 minutes. It's been certified platinum 4 times. She wrote Love Story, the song that made her globally famous, entirely by herself at 18. And she made it a last-minute addition to the album that won her AOTY at the Grammys. So, ayun. Anyway, sabi niya, enough of the Taylor Swift is finally producing real art takes because I and millions of other people, have always, kind of known that. Ayun. So, napaisip ako dun sa take na yon kasi it's so true. Like what I was saying, like with Beautiful Ghosts, like the fact that it was played a single time and then she knew exactly what she wanted to do with it, right? Like it speaks a lot to her talent, whether or not type mo yung genre niya, yung genre that she's experimenting with at the current time, right? And the same also goes with Last Great American Dynasty. Because I was reading the Vulture interview with Aaron Dessner, tapos sabi niya, he gave her the melody, tapos lumabas lang daw siya for a jog. Pagbalik niya, may lyrics na, oh my God, her brain is just so,
Her mind.
like, her mind is just so great. Like,
her mind.
So,
Her mind.
like, I love her so much. Okay, there, yun.
I mean, the universe, the exploding brain meme.
Literally, that was everyone
I
on
think
Friday.
for me, I'm enjoying the fact that, okay, maybe ako to, but I'm tired of the Easter egg hunt only because I waste so much time getting into that and like all the clues. I hate it. Like it's clickbait for me as someone who spends too much time on the internet, I'm so glad that we're no longer playing the game of how many palm trees are in the background. Oh, yun yung release date, whatever. It's fun for a while, but it gets a little bit like, sometimes it's doing it for the sake of saying na parang may clue sa music video, watch it again, and therefore tataas yung views niya. Okay, it's great. I enjoy it. It's fun. But not having any of that for this album, like I'm really happy about that, and I think it's just she's showing I can do whatever I want. Like Taylor's like, if you have the talent, you have the right to do crazy marketing stunts or not anything at all. And we are it's just Taylor's world and we live in it. It's that,
Flex. Yeah.
She's like, hey haters, here I am with this amazing album that you're gonna love. And parang true enough, everyone did love it. All the sad boys, all the sad girls, all the haters. And everyone was scrambling to make their own release after she released this. But yun lang nga, it's the biggest Spotify album debut in the whole 2020. And the biggest Spotify debut for a woman of all time with 80 million streams in just like a day. So I mean, the power, the mind. It's just like,
how this will impact Billboard.
Actually, aside from the fact na marami palang malungkot, is maraming nalungkot. Like, yung may mga magjowa na, mag-away tayo sandali. Oo, away tayo sandali para ma-feel natin yung folklore. Grabe!
I mean, so I guess we're transitioning more to the album content na aside from the whole pizzazz or like the whole event of a surprise drop. I mean, the only one I remember talaga na surprise drop that surprised everyone was Beyonce's self-titled album. But after that, this was like the main surprise drop that was really effective because it's unheard of from Taylor. But syempre some facts about the album, yun nga, it's the biggest Spotify debut of the year. It was co-written generally by Aaron Dessner of The Nationals. 11 tracks were with him and other tracks were with Jack Antonoff, who she considers musical family at this point, as her note says. And William Bowery and Justin Vernon of Bon Iver. So, Franz wanted to say something.
Do you guys know who William Bowery is?
Wala pa, mamaya pa yan.
Ay,
Mamaya
sige,
na.
fine.
Yay!
Easter egg pa yan eh. Mamaya natin
Excited pala.
Excited. Pero ayun na nga. So parang general reactions natin, wow, ang sakit. Ako parang, I didn't know I had that sadness in me after listening to that album. Like
Actually,
literally,
Finally cry.
Yeah. Ako parang today lang, kasi I'm reading the lyrics for the first time, after passively listening. Ano pala siya? Love album to my ex. As in, yung ex ko yung naalala ko, every song. Diyos ko po, gusto ko ba yun? Maririnig niya to.
sige, gagawa akong group chat tayong tatlo ah. Gusto ko makita yung conversation na yun.
Go!
Tapos pala, in-invite ko siya dito.
Dapat invite mo. Naku,
Oo.
never pa kami nag-usap. Okay. Hindi pa ako ready.
Popcorn X Lover Folklore Special.
Pwede. Iyak lang kami.
Just listen to
Exile.mp3.
Folklore together.
Oh my gosh, that's a great
And then,
YouTube.
and then parang,
Pwede.
and then ask each other, so did you ever feel this way about me after we broke up? May mga ganong keme-keme.
So parang aside from the ones we've already mentioned, does anyone have any other general reactions they'd like to share about like the album in general before we go track by track?
Gusto ko i-mention that the fact that remember last year she posted not a lot going on at the moment.
That was just this year, April.
This year, April lang
Ano,
yun,
sorry.
grabe.
Yeah, April. Sorry.
It seems like last year. April seems like last year.
Millennia or
7 years
whatever,
ago.
right?
Once I was 7 years
so
old.
7 years ago, on April 27. So, di ba she posted not a lot going on at the moment? That was the exact same day she started writing the album. Like,
Really?
I saw it.
That was the
I saw
only
it
Easter
today.
egg.
So that was
Yeah.
the day that she messaged Aaron.
And if you
sent a
count-
voice note, hey, what do with that?
And if you actually count the number of words dun sa caption, it's actually 8.
Yan na naman tayo. We're gonna get sucked into
How
this.
does she does she have like a whole diary of plans that will web into other plans? I'm
Alam
curious.
mo,
about
minsan
that.
feel ko nakaswerte lang siya. Parang yung mga Taylor Swift fans na yung naglagay ng connection. Tapos sabi niya, oh, tama yan. Like, yeah, I meant that. Like,
I think we mentioned that last time nga na parang ganun na nga, parang is it parang parang semiotics na lang na parang okay, yeah, that works. I'm just gonna agree with that.
Yeah, yung mga Taylor
Yeah.
Swift scholars na lang yung gumagawa ng mga kwento. Pero actually, parang siya, never thought of that, but nice.
And so yeah, any other general reactions aside from that? Well, ako ang masasabi ko lang, I was really not prepared for this whole thing. Like physically, mentally, emotionally, because prior to this, my life has been a lot of K-pop this year, and that's really upbeat. Most of the K-pop I like are upbeat and not so much the ballads. And we had Dedicated Side B, which is like a super fun light album, and then boom, and I was like, oh my gosh, after listening to it thoroughly, ito na. So now we will go track by track as we did before. I think Reg will have to leave for a bit, but she'll come back hopefully. Yeah, let's start with track number 1, aka The One. So
Okay.
this was actually Kevin wants to say something.
Okay, so basically, as an opening, it makes sense because because it's as a transition from the last album to this one, it makes sense, and then like it has that typical song structure, like the whole first chorus, and all that, and then it also, from a sonic and structure standpoint, it pretty much sets the tone because like the way that she switched up the chorus at the end, that's like, I mean, I noticed a lot of switch ups throughout the album. So again, as the opening track, it really makes sense.
And
And
it's
it also
like,
sounds very loungy.
yeah, I agree. Like it's a perfect opening number to this whole album na parang right away you know what it's gonna sound like, what it's gonna be about. And you know that Taylor is here to tell us stories and she will take you sa stories na yun. And you will find yourself in those stories. It's like all the layers of, you know, what we love about her lyrics, her narratives, and now the music. You know, a lot of ako personally, this album, it's not my sound because I'm a very bubblegum pop guy. But
Yeah,
My,
um,
same.
yun na
it's
nga,
my
eh, parang here, this is here, and we will love it. And yun, it's an amazing, and the story itself is just like, oh wow, you know, imagine mo yourself with a totga or something like that, and you're like, hi, I'm sure people can relate here. Joke.
Yeah. Actually, what I really love about this is that it's longing, it's nostalgia, but in a very light way. Like when you remember an ex fondly. Now you're not remembering the bad stuff or like yung sadness, but like, oh, he was a gracious boyfriend and an even more gracious ex. So it sounded like that. It was light, but also very parang yeah, sad. It's light sad. Yung saktong iyak lang.
Simula pa
And the
lang
bridge
the
is
melody.
basically yeah.
sorry.
And I mean, I was saying like the
Yeah.
melody structure kind of reminded me of the "I Forgot That You Existed" last album. So
Yes.
it has that snappiness. But what I like about this album, and I think maybe this is the touch of Aaron Dessner and even his twin brother, also part of the National, who worked on the orchestration of it. Like you could feel the percussion is different. Like it's like tapping. Like in a way, I was thinking like it feels kind of like time passing. Like especially with this song, it's like tap tap. Like if you listen to it, give it a deep listen. That percussion gives you a sense of okay, time's moving by. This is what's life. This is what life has been. And you really get the folk sound right away. Like, you know, if and especially like recently, I mean, I'm also not too big on folk. I haven't really gotten into it, but I love, for example, Maggie Rogers.
Oh my
I've been
gosh.
so into her stuff lately, and you get that sincerity, you get this light touch of orchestration that really like makes the song just a nice listen. It's that, and I don't know, and I feel like it's in the first song palang, like you have the line, like I feel like this song, since she has 5 explicit songs, diba? Like she wants to show, I can talk about sex, I can talk about like, she has a line like, meet a woman on the internet, take her home and something. I'm like, you know, your 13-year-old Swiftie would be like so scandalized by that. But that's, you know,
Super.
society and
House
reality. And she sings about alcohol, you know, it's part of life. And I think she has that grasp of these elements to put it in a song and make it, you know, like to age, right? Like, I mean, what is she? She's 30? She's 31?
31.
Yeah, 31
30.
this year, diba?
30 flat.
Yeah.
30, yeah, because she celebrated her 30th
31
last
Yeah,
December.
1989. Char, yun na yung naalala.
Magaling mag-math.
Taga-bangko kasi
I would
yan.
like to add also, yeah,
What's the 31? Yeah.
and I would like to add also, the bridge felt like the Mitski of bridges, because like Mitski, she tends to have these 1-minute songs that feel very heartbreaking as well.
What song
So that's
do
happening.
you what song like reminds you of that, Namitski?
And I mean the bridge, the
Yeah,
bridge
yeah.
part, like it's yeah.
Yeah, so
I
I mean,
wanted to say nga na gawin ng undersecretary ng the Department of Public Highway and Works na si Taylor Swift kasi ang galing niya gumawa ng bridge. But diba? Gawin niya siyang
Short
undersecretary.
bridges, long bridges, she can do it all.
Diba yung
akala
mga
ko
bridge
ano,
dito?
parang Department
Sa
of
Manila, lubak-lubak.
mga
DPWH.
National Arts, ganon. Kasi folk, ganon, folklore. ng Chromatica. Lady Gaga officially invited Taylor Swift. I mean, I would like to see a Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, like country song eventually. That would be amazing. Pero parang yun na nga, parang with this, you also get the idea that it might not be about her, like her personal experiences. Kasi parang kung isipin mo, what we know about Taylor, it doesn't seem to add up to anything we've seen from her personal life at the very least. But that kind of gives you that parang insight about the whole album. And, the what ifs are just really nice. Parang, mga lang, syempre yung mga magjowa na friends pa rin ngayon, pero parang the Ben and Ben's lifetime, ganon, di ba? Parang, what could the lifetime be with you? Parang ganon. That's what...
We were something, don't you think so? But like that one line, like, don't you think so? Like, oh,
Sobra.
yeah.
Wow.
And everything feels refreshing also.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with the sound pa lang. Kasi nung last episode, we were like, this is a combination of everything that she's done so far. But like, how do you switch it up even more? And she answered, and she just said yes. Switch it up.
Do something on the left field.
Yeah. So, okay. Any last words for the one? Yun lang. Sana may the one.
It was good.
Yeah. I'll just
It was nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll just make paalam na I have to head out. But I left some comments on the G-Doc that you might want to like delve into if you guys want to for the rest of the songs. Yeah.
Thank you, Reg. I guess
Okay.
we'll see you later. If
Yes. Kung
makaabot
you
makakahabol
around.
pa ako mamaya.
So see you in a bit. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here and corresponding from Washington. Joe from Washington.
Dito lang sa kabilang bahay. Sige guys.
Washington, Cubao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that signifies our
Bye.
next track, which is Cardigan. And this is the second track and the
Ooh,
single, the
The
first
start of the
single
trifecta.
of the album.
Ooh.
Actually, ito yung pinakauna.
Suddenly, I want a cardigan.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's buying cardigans now. Hi, Ateneo.
I heard
Tumaas yung demand. Just ko, pwede pala yun because of Taylor Swift.
I know, but Franz, you were saying something?
I heard as of kanina lang, Cardigan is already number 1 in the charts.
Yes.
Wow.
And you know what?
So it
Aside
makes
from, we haven't even mentioned this, aside from the 8 versions of the album she released, she's also releasing a new single of Cardigan physical edition with vinyls of Cardigan as well with a special...
Cassette, even cassette. Like, I think that was what I was most impressed by.
Yeah.
Like, she's releasing a cassette tape. And I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but when I was like less than 5 years old, I was winding it on the pencil. Tapos, ayun, kanta ata, baka makarena pa ata yung cassette tape. But I did somehow reach the cassette age, and I was like winding them up and putting it on my stereo or something. So, like, shocks the fact that she's doing cassette now. Wow.
Pero saan kahalap ng player, yun lang ang ano ko eh. Parang, okay, ang dami
Yeah,
namang...
diba?
Pero, yeah, it's nice. It's very nostalgic nga. Especially with bagay siya sa album na to. Kasi some albums would have cassettes but don't necessarily feel like they need cassettes.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, we're in the digital
Like, cassette
age,
is a memory.
after all.
Cassette is, yeah.
yeah. But,
And she's reaching so many niche.
yeah. And I was gonna say something else about, Cardigan. This was the first song I listened to out of everything because it had the music video. So I was like, okay, I'll watch the music video first. And how do you make a music video like that in quarantine? I'm just like curious.
Same.
Social distancing, PPEs,
Yeah, but like, wow. I mean,
location
everyone-
scouting, I guess.
yeah, I mean, aside from the obvious, like, it's just like, parang it's just like, I mean, kami kasi nagpo-produce.
Just how do you speed up the production of that so
Yeah, and it
like,
looks
quickly?
like it
And
was
I
made
mean,
like,
I cannot even get up for a Zoom meeting, like for work. So mas lalo na, how do you make a music video like that?
how do you fit
Like, he just
yourself
wakes
into a
up and says,
piano?
go, ito naman ito.
It's Taylor Swift. Are we even asking why or how?
We just accept.
Exactly.
Basta ginawa niya.
She just says, "Let's do it, girl."
We just say yes, Taylor. Give it to us.
Amen, sis.
Give me
For me,
everything.
Cardigan.
Give us something.
Parang Cardigan. It took a while for me to appreciate, I guess, because I was
Same.
still trying to grasp what it was gonna be, the whole album, since it was the first song I listened to. Actually, the one pala I failed to mention that that was the last part of the last 2 songs she wrote, which was the one and hoax. So last minute addition siya as bookends according to that article with Aaron. But Cardigan, what I really like the most about it is the line, "When you are young, they assume you know nothing." That was it.
Yes.
The tweet, literally. Right? Parang it's like such a struggle a lot of us millennials and Gen Z are experiencing na, they just assume,
Dismiss.
yeah, we're just dismissed as like thrown away. Not even thrown away, but like not really
Lazy
much
millennials.
attention. And I guess yun magandang metaphor nga niya na the thrown away cardigan under a bed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just really nice na to have that line spoken to you. And I'm like, same. When you are young, they assume you know nothing. Because, the struggle continues to own the world as we young people. Na parang, di ba, parang ang dami pa ring old people na, hey, this is how it's gonna be. This is how it's supposed to be. I mean, I guess I related on that matter. But anyone else on the song about, the relationship stuff?
I'll get into the love triangle because for me it was so fun having these three different perspectives. So we start with this is Betty's perspective, diba, yung cardigan.
But
So,
wait, before we head to that, what is the
Yeah,
Betty?
yeah.
Who is the
Yun
Jane?
na nga. May ganito palang
Olga?
chismis tong album na to. Hindi ko
Yes.
alam.
True, the chica is real.
The whole album is the
No, I
Easter egg.
after the children of Blake Lively, right? So James, Betty, and I think some are saying the third is I think Inez will be Ata. But
Oh,
Yeah,
I feel like I think she took names, right? But I think for me, given that she grew up, Taylor Swift grew up writing these songs in high school, she still flexes that now, diba? That she can talk about high school love because this is about high school love, right? 17, and the timeline of the three songs is this is a little bit before summer, and after. Like, what's the aftermath, right? So you have James and Betty, the couple or
The
whatever
main
they are in
couple.
high school. Ano mga landian, MU, whatever you want to call it. Right?
Eme-eme.
And then it di ba, mga eme-eme na ganon. But like, I like what the approach to it is because even if, we joke na parang ano ba yung mga high school landian, like Taylor Swift never dismisses it, right? She still gives it the emotional nuance because when you're young, you can feel intense love. Like, that's not being foolish, that's not being silly. You can love that much. And
Yes.
and I think Betty's point of view because Betty, like, I think, she says, chase two girls, lose the one. So she knows James is interested in someone else. But like, she's admits that she still feels like she's the favorite, diba? You put me on and said I was your favorite. Like, may iba kang chicks kasi high school ka, kasi lalaki ka, but I knew you and we have all these memories, like, and the imagery that she paints, like the High Line and the cobblestones, this is consistent across all three the songs, and that's like, for me, it's so strong, the imagery and the tying into it. Like, we'll get back a little bit into those clues when we get to August, and when we get to Betty. So this one is the start. So you start with the girl, and maybe she's pissed off, maybe she's hurt, but she still likes him, Yun yung parang nagpapakatanga si ate. Like, you chase two girls, she's the one. I think her point of view is she's the one. Like, she knows that. Siya yung main character in the story. And whoever this other girl, and I like that she's unnamed. The other girl is not named. So
Yeah.
this other girl, unnamed, she's
Hindi
the
ba in
side
our
piece or
minds?
whatever.
Hindi ba in our minds tayo yung the one talaga? Pero never natin alam na
Yes.
may keme-kemeng ko sino-sino dyan.
Amen,
And
sis.
that's the theme in August. Later, when we get to August, is the side girl thinking that she is the one, and like, sort of, she's the heart and mind dissonance, diba? So parang,
Oh my
oh my
God.
god, like tying all that together is really good. Yeah. So okay, there.
Also, something that's interesting about this love triangle thing. There are
She
people who
calls
are
it
also
she calls it the teenage love triangle narrative.
beyond the teenage love triangle. People are also saying that it's also referencing Friends.
What? As in the show Friends?
Yeah. So actually, kasi diba, a lot of Swifties know this, na Taylor Swift loves Friends, right? So there's this certain episode na where Phoebe sings this song and then she says, this is a song about a love triangle between three people I made up. It's called Two of Them Kissed Last Night. And then she named the girl Betty. And there was a girl, we'll call her Betty. That was the first lyric of the song.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even like get that
Yeah,
deep.
I saw the clip on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or Twitter rather.
Pero parang yun na nga eh.
Yeah.
What is this whole narrative? We don't really know what the real story behind it because there are also theories that it's based on Rebecca who owned the house nga, diba, that we mentioned earlier, who owns the Rhode Island house, and that her nickname was Betty daw, and that this was her life, and then Taylor's putting it into an album. And, you know, there's so many theories, but at the end of it all,
Yeah.
regardless of the theories, the songs themselves can speak not just about Betty, not just about James, but to any of us listening to this. Because I think parang each song may isang tao makarelate sa iba. May thread din sa Twitter eh, parang your favorite folklore song tells you about what kind of struggle or hugot you have in your life. Parang ganon. I'm gonna link it to you guys after this, but
Okay.
interesting.
Can I
Alam
chime
din
in?
natin. Charot.
Later, malalaman niyo kung alin niyo sa akin, malalaman niyo yung story ko. Just it's all about me pala.
Okay. Can I chime
And
in?
ito, like, I think, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so
I mean, I'm just
okay.
gonna drop, sorry. Ito yung mahirap sa Zoom eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Gab, go ahead.
so anyway, when I first heard the album, because I remember one of the shows I've been binging on Netflix is Ultimate Beastmaster, and then I always hear the word momentum being thrown around, especially when a player would swing from one area to another. So let's say the one is like the momentum, meaning someone is swinging from point A to point B from an elevated area. Yeah, this is the equivalent of the transition from the one to Cardigan. And it felt very smooth. Like it felt like the one is setting up for Cardigan, and then by the time Cardigan starts to by the time that Cardigan ends, it feels like an emotional roller coaster. Like it starts from being blissful to insecure, but then like it ends on an optimistic note like that. And then I also like that it's parang it's more of a dialogue than a song. Like it doesn't have a true chorus, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah. Si Nat also wanted to say something.
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, maingay amay. I don't know, like there's vacuum cleaning going on. Sorry, guys. So
Hindi naman siya rinig.
I will speak a little louder. Okay. So
Yeah.
for me, it's the she mentions in this line, and I knew you'd miss me once the thrill expired, and you'd be standing in my front porch light, which we get to later on in Betty, because it's all about standing up in the front porch and saying like I'm sorry, or like, you know, skitter for a while or whatever. And it's so confident. I know you'd come back to me, you'd come back to me, you'd come back. Like she's so sure about that.
yeah. And also those callbacks, it reminds me because I've listened to Gaslighter by the Chicks, and then that pretty much echoes that kind of thing there. Like there was a mention of a boat on the first track, and then the boat gets mentioned again later in the song, later in the album. So that's what it reminded me of. Okay.
So I guess that signifies our next track. Unless anyone wants to say something else about Cardigan.
Ako.
Go, Franz.
Can I just
Go.
say,
Anong
sometimes,
pinaghugutan mo dyan?
ako naman, no, you know what? Contrary to that, I actually sometimes, I feel like ang weird ng how Taylor chooses what songs would be her singles. Because
In what sense?
for me, what Cardigan does well is that it feels warm. The song feels warm when you're listening to it. And I love that about it. But it just, for me, it doesn't really strike me as much as other songs have.
Yeah.
And to make that the
Yeah,
lead
same.
single, was a little bit like parang, bakit kaya? Sometimes, diba, you wanna question her mind, girl, why?
Because she
Girl.
People
wanted
saying Getaway Car should have been a lead
single.
single,
Yeah.
right? But then
haven't
it wa-
gotten haven't gotten Cruel Summer as a
I
single. So
know.
it's
Yeah.
I know.
Ang ganda
Justice for
nun.
Cruel Summer.
I love.
He was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's not a cruel summer. Let's go straight to the fall and like just be sad.
Yeah. Yung sabi ko parang kung malamig lang, parang init-init dito ngayon in Barcelona. It's like almost 40 sometimes. So I'm like, I cannot vibe to these songs and like wait for the leaves to fall and walk around. Wala pa. In a few
Photo
months.
shoot.
Like,
Abangan na ang photo shoot.
advance siya mag-isip, diba? Advance siya mag-isip.
Anta siya mag-isip. Kasi alam niya matagal pa to, girl. Paglabas daw natin, fall na.
May fall ba dito? Baka ikaw ma-fall ka nun.
Napo.
So yun.
Pero yeah, I
That's just
agree.
my take on Cardigan.
Yeah, parang I'm like, it didn't really strike me as much nga in the beginning, especially if it's the first song anyone will listen to because it's the lead single. Then yeah, it's just like explain yourself what made you make. But I guess it's probably a good taste breaker lang for a lot of people na if you put something else, it might be too extreme. So it might be like a middle ground lang she feels na would be interesting enough for people to want to listen in. Maybe.
Mm.
But now that leads us to the third song, which is The Last Great American Dynasty. So this one's a bit more upbeat. It breaks the solemn or like medyo
That's
sad
sad.
sounds of the first.
Somber.
Yeah, the somber vibes, and it's a bit more upbeat. So see, Reg wanted to say something before we all say something about this. So according to Reg, who's not here right now, she says that she loves this song. I think it's one of her top songs, and the process, like she says, her mind. So parang sabi ni Reg na it best demonstrates the storytelling ability na the fact that you title this song like a really grand title, which is The Last Great American Dynasty. It's deliberate because with the whole Rebecca Harkness idea, storyline, it elevates that personal narrative into one woman, from one woman to a larger social commentary. And she also says that it kind of parallels with The Lucky One from Red in that both people have to deal with like fame or who are under scrutiny. And yun nga, parang the fact that in the last part, Taylor buys a house, it's like positioning herself as a successor in the tradition of women who are being scrutinized. I mean, I totally agree with that. Reg put it really nicely. I don't think I have anything intelligent to say after that. Kaya ako nagbasa.
Actually, I
What's
really.
really, really nice about that comment is that yun nga, like the final twist in the end na, and then it was bought by me, and the whole song she's singing, she had a marvelous time ruining everything. Like, I think the way she paints Rebecca as someone who's unapologetic about who she is and liking the arts or whatever it was she did in that town, being charming the way she is. And I love so much that in the end, Taylor's, rather than saying she had a marvelous time, I had a marvelous time ruining everything. And she's no longer apologetic about like whose toes she steps on, because she's going to come into her own position and space as a woman. And if that bothers anyone, they can get the fuck out of the town. Like, that's it,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, she has every right to have, her friends come over. She has every right to be who she is. And if she's gonna get scrutinized for that, then like,
Who cares?
I like the imagery. The dog was dyed lime green. Like, ganun yung kalokohan or kagaguhan. Like, the playfulness, the mischievousness of it, diba? So parang she's saying, you know, women have a right to do that. And this is why I like songs like these. Like Taylor has been singing more and more on feminist themes. And I remember in our last review, I said, like, I like The Man. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, you're singing about the glass ceiling at work and so on, blah, blah, blah. But I find these songs more fun because it's the same theme, but
it's more
it's a bit
subtle.
more narrated, and like
Yeah.
you see it on a more personal level. Because it's easy to say, like, you know, well, it's not easy to say. Parang like, I think what she was saying before in The Man was a bit like obvious. It's stating the obvious and the annoyance with it, and I completely agree. But like this one is
More
this is, I
subtle.
think, more poetic.
Yeah.
It really is even like more artistic and makes it even more relevant even.
Actually, I agree with Nat. As in, sobrang ganda. This is one of my favorite songs too because it's upbeat. Di ba nga, I'm not into this the folk genre talaga. But aside from the fact that it's upbeat, this storytelling is otherworldly talaga. As in, I had to read up on it and I enjoyed the story about Rebecca. And then I also read up on something on how Taylor Swift was likening herself to Rebecca, na parang she is one of those women, the maddest woman in this town. Kasi remember na nag-Reputation album siya, parang medyo she's gone like crazy girl mode, and then she's the loudest woman because she always has something to say. And I really like how this song speaks about being a strong woman in an old time, like she was a middle-aged divorcee. I mean, like what woman would be proud to call themselves a divorcee during this time, diba? Kasi like you had a bad marriage. But then she took pride in that, like Rebecca took pride in that. And that's something that I really agree with. Like I saw myself in the story na it doesn't matter if I'm apologetic or if I'm like more open about what I like and what I don't like, then that's fine. Because you know, that it's me and I'm a woman and that's something that I can do and I'm very proud of that. So I really like that one.
Ako naman, what I really loved about this track is how well written it is. She takes you there.
Yeah.
Listening to it, the way the music was made, the way she wrote the lyrics, she gives you this clear imagery of the place, of what's happening, the characters. It just transports me, and ang ganda lang talaga ng vibe that it gives off. Like, this is my favorite song to bike with since it came out. I would bike every afternoon, and it's such a feel-good song. Like, I'm biking around town and I'm proud of it. Amazing. Amazing.
Nakakagaan lang feeling na. Yeah.
Yeah. My first impression of this was actually like reading the lyrics and how very story driven it is. It kind of gave me Broadway vibes. I'm not sure I'm the only one who got that impression, but it reminded me of Broadway. And then when I was thinking more, like listening to that song more and more, and then thinking about my opinions on it, I suddenly reminded, has anyone ever seen The Last 5 Years?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song in the apartment where Jeremy Jordan was singing about
diba?
Which song? Which song is this?
The Shmuel song, as in like the guy.
Shmuel song.
Yeah. So the way that song was structured, as far as I can remember, was that it starts off as a story, but then it ends up being like a sort of a message kind of thing. And I feel like that's what's also going on here on Last Great American Dynasty.
Actually, that's a really good point to bring up Broadway. Kasi a lot of people have been saying na, wow, this album shows her ability to probably make a Broadway musical herself. I mean, I think we were talking about this not before. Tama ba? Tayo ba yun sa Lover episode na we'd like to see Taylor write a whole narrative of songs made by her, or maybe Carly Rae Jepsen can also do that. But si Taylor, I think that her storytelling ability will really allow her to do this in that setting. So hopefully she does release or collaborate with someone on a whole musical. I would watch that. I would go to opening night.
I would live for that.
I mean, Sarah Bareilles pulled that off with Waitress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this, remember, in the last album, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. You get these themes. The themes are very, very similar. So in a way, you could see this as a continuation of her. Because I think Taylor is charmed by the 20s, the 40s, that era. Like maybe like that time of what new Americana or new money and like fame and what Hollywood, very, very, very like old Hollywood would be like, its ancestors would be. And I think she has loved that imagery, and for her to carry it on this way, it's another tale with that setting, but like still with those themes. So I think what's nice about this album is because she has these her go-to tricks, her go-to metaphors, colors, her go-to places. She makes a lot of references to New York. She has this go-to again of Americana and American society in its earlier years. And I think for her to do these things again and again without ever getting boring is I think we don't give that enough credit. And I want to really point that out, that if you think about it, these are the same images, these are the same metaphors, but it never feels old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many times she's singing about her pack of friends? How many times has she sung about swimming in a pool of champagne? Like, she does that in every album almost.
About
And yet,
mga 3 a.m., 2 a.m.
yeah, diba? So like these are her common go-tos, like her little signatures in the song, and
Ropes.
it just still feels fresh. And I think when you study her discography a bit more, you become super aware of these little things in the lines that she does every album. And when you spot it, it's her. Like these are her styles. Like, and with the way we study literary authors, diba? Her as a songwriter also has these tricks.
So I think babalik na po si Nat sa Pilipinas to teach Taylor Swift scholarship. I would
Love it.
Close reading. Ginagamit ko yung music literature diploma ko nung minor ko. So, I mean, and I one more thing, since you mentioned like with the whole scholarship of Swift and everything, like I think this one, the beat again, because it's Aaron Dessner, you have that. I like the beat. It's so light. It's very, very light-handed, and but it picks up the pace of the album. Like ito yung upward sort of pickup point ng album, because it's faster, and also but it still keeps that light-handedness. So if you remember the first few seconds of The One versus this one, like they have very, very similar percussion, except this one's just a little faster. So I think everyone has already mentioned it, that this is sonically the most cohesive album she's done. And it's because of things like these. Here you can hear the percussion so clearly, being almost like, I don't know if, because I'm not so well versed in production, but I would not be surprised if this is the same, like, I don't know, set of on the synth, like whatever it is, right? So the percussion is in that same set, and it's very indie folk that she has put her own touch on it.
Yeah. And may sasabihin ako about, I don't know kasi I'm not super into music theory per se, but papangalanan ko na ba yung ex mo, Arby?
Okay, go.
Well, sabi ni, ito na, sinabi mo na. Well, sabi ni Ian, na ex ni Arby, ano sabihin?
Triggered pala. Go.
Sabi niya, I've seen this film before. Joke.
Uy, mag-move on na tayo doon mamaya. Pero sige, go. Tapos.
Pero sabi lang niya parang there's something about the reverb of this album that it grows yata as the album closes down, and then her voice softens. There's something about that. I can't really...
We talked about the reverb on Lover. We talked about that. Remember, like Lover the song, not just the album, but the Lover the song. And that's what gives it that classic feel. Like it's a very hollow song. It's echoey.
Yeah.
And that gives you a sense of, like, for example, like you in your room right now, you're alone. And that gives you that intimacy of a song. It's because that's echo. It makes you feel like you're in a space. That it's either you and just someone you love. And that's the fun side of the music theory of it, right? Like, and we can go later on with the reverb because it becomes very, very clear middle album towards end. I didn't
know
notice that
that
it does. It's like instrumental na.
we
That
should
is
make
cool.
a whole YouTube series na about Taylor Swift and music theory. That would be like super interesting. I would watch.
Super.
No, I
Ako
mean
rin.
even like Carly Rae Jepsen, all the pop girls, all my ladies.
Yeah.
All the
I think
queens.
I think what makes them really just more than just singers is because they know how a great song goes. Like these are the elements. You've got the beat, you've got the melody, you've got all the harmonies and so on. The songwriting, and when they come together, it feels like magic.
I listened to Switch on Pop, the podcast.
Do they have
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
recommended.
do they have a folklore anything? Not yet, no?
Not yet. I mean, the last episode that I mean, actually, Carly inspired that podcast. But then, like the
And
last
Carly was
episode
their
I listened
guest.
to,
Yeah, that I listened to that episode as well.
the last one I listened to was the Dua Lipa edition. So
Oh, okay.
where they
He was there
dissected
also.
"Don't Start Now." She wasn't. But then all they did was they dissected every nooks and crannies of "Don't Start Now."
Okay, so I guess that leads us. Ito na talaga.
Speaking of reverb, right? This is one of the songs that it's so hollow, it's so echoey.
This is so haunting.
Go.
It is. This
Super.
Yeah,
is
haunting.
track number 4, which is
As in-
Exile featuring Bon Iver, also co-written with Bon
Ooh.
Iver. And I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say,
It's-
this broke me so hard. Like, nung first listen na parang, a bit passive listening, just listening, getting the vibe. Parang I'm like, oh wow, grabe ang baba ng boses ni Bon Iver dito. Mga ganung bagay lang. Pero nung parang that same day at 3 a.m., I decided to listen to it consecutively for 4 times. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my life. No, I mean, not in a love life kind of way, but in a professional like setting. And that just like I was just like, I don't know, parang the whole next day was me being so sad and ang bigat ng feeling because I was like, oh my gosh, she just completely got my perspective in this song. And like, the whole the quotable quote of it all, it's like I've seen this film before. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't
I
like
didn't
the
like
ending.
anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like the ending. I mean, it can
The Mist.
even Philippine Star like had like a tweet about it kanina. I mean, we could say it about
Yeah.
Philippine politics. I've
The
seen this
sauna.
film before,
Yes.
right? And it
The
can apply to
film.
so many things. But the power of this song was like, oh my gosh, yung sagutan na parang the two people in a relationship who are about to end, and then all the lines na parang you're not my homeland anymore. And so what am I defending? I'm just like, oh my gosh. And actually, like because of that whole thing, I've been starting to write lyrics lately. And that kind of like the fourth listen after, I was like, after I realized na, oh, this is my story. And then I was like, I just got inspired and I wrote lyrics like on the spot, maybe mga 20 minutes. And I had the whole thing. I think Arby's seen the lyrics na at this point. I'll share it with
Yeah.
others. Si Franz din yata. So parang I was like, di ba, nakuha mo ba yung inspiration on that?
Popcorn exclusive. Cholo will share his lyrics.
Pwede.
Sa next na lang, magpapa-compose muna ako ng music from Nat and her instruments.
I love it.
Produce
Yeah,
natin.
those are my
para-
thoughts. It's just like, wow, ang sakit. I can totally put myself in that context. And I'm sure people have like similar experiences of like putting yourself in those shoes and seeing how it can relate to any part of your life. And, for me, it happens to be that professional thing, but to others, it might be their real relationship. And yung sabi nga ng Twitter thread was like, if you like Exile, you have like parent issues or something like that na your parents didn't have it. Ganun. Parang I was like, oh, okay. Interesting take. Okay, anyone wanna
Yeah.
take over?
Yeah.
I think
It's
what's
basically the
interesting
second
about
coming of
the call and response.
Kevin?
So like yung sagutan nila. I think what's interesting about like the so the voice of Justin Vernon. I mean, Taylor has collaborated with a lot of different guys before, like Brendan Urie, you have Ed Sheeran, but I love, like, this one just feels like the way the registers both are. It's so powerful, and we get that not just when they're singing their corresponding verses, but when they do in the outro, like, you didn't even hear me out, like that echo of each other, and you can think of it as two sides. And it doesn't, like, I would disagree, like, I wouldn't say it's a conversation. It's like two ex-lovers who don't want to talk to each other, but they have their side of the story. Like, it's not them facing each other anymore. They're both facing separately. Pero may sagot sila sa isa't isa. Parang sagot sa subtweet niya, diba? Ganon. Like, and I think that
alam na
parang diba sa memes na, let our response be, diba? Yung ganun ba? Like, let our response be. Like,
Let our response
I just
be
love
to
that
step right
interplay of
out.
that call and response. Exactly. Like, I think it was so, that was my favorite part of the song, like the ending. Like, because you never gave me a warning sign. I gave so many warning signs. And like, like one side can view it as that, and the other can see it as, I did everything, pero hindi pa rin sapat para sa'yo. Parang ano ba? Diba?
You see the difference,
so that was great,
between the two narratives, but also, like, they're coming from wanting to, like, find the middle ground that they never found, which was the homeland or the hometown. And that's a great metaphor for me, na parang, you know, those, you're not my hometown, I'm not your problem anymore, mga ganun. Parang, ang galing ng pagkasulat na it can be about so many things nga. And parang as Nat was saying, parang ngayon, naalala ko lang ngayon, parang it's just like how amazing that Gotta Go My Own Way bridge was. What about us? What about everything? And then, what about trust? That part is like, that last part of Exile is also like Taylor Swift's version.
Oh my god, memories. Yeah. I was gonna say the song is like the second coming of The Last Time from Red.
Yeah.
But I feel the dynamic between the compared to that, like this one, the dynamic between the two, it gels better.
So, may iba pa bang hugot dito about Exile?
Ako lang yung hindi naiyak sa Exile.
Ano?
Wala akong sa sad space. I know it's a sad song, but when I listen to it, I don't feel sad. But that's just me. I like listening to it because, oh my gosh, sobrang soothing pakinggan ng boses ni Bon Iver forever talaga.
Totoo.
They sang well
And
together.
this is coming...
It was a really good, What was that other song from Red where she had a collab with? Last Kiss? Was it Last Kiss?
The last time ata.
Last time.
The last time I'm asking you this. Yun ba yun?
Yeah.
Ang ganda nun.
Yeah,
Grabe.
that's what I was mentioning.
Yeah.
I like this better than last time.
Same.
Okay. So,
Ako torn pa.
may sasabihin
Pero,
ka, Arby, about...
Last lang, wala kasi
About your ex.
yung Pilipinas naman, iba, grabe. Kasi, can I just say, yung you're not my homeland anymore, so what am I defending now? Kasi, like, I don't want to be that Filipino who says, oh, I want to migrate na, I want to leave my country na, kasi wala nang pag-asa. But that's what I feel talaga these days, no? It's so hard, like, listening to Sona's updates, listening to Sona's updates na I think I've seen this Sona before and I didn't like the ending, ganon. And then it follows with
the end, the middle, the speed.
Ayoko siya lahat. Ayoko lahat ng tao doon. I just want to leave this country. Pero, is that the right thing to do? I mean, for me, when I heard Exile, I felt more about the Philippines and our political state than I did for my ex. So, mas Philippines yung peg niya for me. And it just makes me sad because it reminds me of how I don't feel like I'm at home in my home country. It's sad. And I'm sure many other Filipinos feel the same way.
Reach.
Oh, yeah.
Papakinggan ko na siya with that mindset. Oh my gosh.
Baka malungkot ka. Oo. Ako, yun, iba.
malungkot pa.
Thanks for
Can
that,
I get an amen up in here? Okay.
Let the music play.
So from Exile, we head...
Sapat to.
Nat.
I think it would be interesting given na si Justin Vernon here, like the sound. It makes me just curious lang, what if one day she does a collab with Hosier, and like imagine also,
Oh.
'di ba? Like I mean that
Ayun.
was really on my mind. Like he would have, I think for me on this album, if I had two more collaborations we could fit in, it would be Hosier and Sufjan Stevens.
Oh my
Like the
God.
percussion
Oh, yes.
and the
Oh my gosh,
diba?
ganda.
Like those two talaga, I've been thinking like with this song, like this song just gave me ideas on the kind of feel, if parang ang daming free time siguro ng mga tao, if they were available for it, I would have, oh my God, that would be such
Baka
an
may ano pa
exclusive,
yan.
like,
Deluxe edition at bonus tracks featuring
diba?
Sufjan Stevens and Hosier.
Yeah.
Remix ng anong
Yeah.
kantang bibigyan natin ng remix.
Taylor, I hope you're
Oh,
listening.
ano?
Okay, so next we head on to track number 5, which is My Tears Ricochet.
Damn, this song.
This is the first Jack Antonoff track that appears on the album after multiple Desner collabs. Although, you know, we love Jack so much from his collabs with Taylor, Lord, Cardi, everything. But you know, Marable is another nice break for me. Na it's a bit more like hindi naman, it's a bit lighter than Exile that came before it. And okay, babasahin ko din yung sinabi ni Reg, which is, admittedly, she found the title corny when she saw it on the track list. She sometimes has a tendency to find an image or phrase she likes, then plays it up a lot, whether or not it works poetically. But she says that it works as a whole in general, and that her favorite line is, if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake? Which is
Oh my
a whole
God, same.
theme.
Ay,
Same also.
same.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I guess it's a lot of the whole unspoken vibes between people na parang, you know, you don't really say things when you have the opportunity to tell other people, and then dun ka na lang pupunta sa wake ng tao na yun. Di ba? Parang ganun.
Yeah.
Anyone else
Yeah.
on this?
If I'm dead to you, why I'm at the wake, that's basically what happened between Britta and Aidan last season.
So, anyone, ano yung feels niya dito sa kantang to?
Yep.
I love it. I love
For me,
it.
Oxlang, this is one of the more okay lang for me. I mean, I don't hate it or anything. It's nice. Like, I mean, I would still go through it, but I think it doesn't, for me, it lacks a flavor that the other songs have. I mean, yeah, like the songwriting is great. I like the imagery of a ghost at a wake and like seeing who is there to mourn you. And I think that's really interesting. But as a song, I'm like, it's okay. Like, I mean, I'm just happy that it's not overproduced. Like, not, you know, that Jack Antonoff had some restraint with it, diba? So it's okay for me overall. Like, saks lang. No further comments.
For me, there's one line that really stood out for me besides yung sa if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake? This one is in the chorus. She says, and you're cursing my name, wishing I stayed. And this one hits me because, like, I don't know, I'm sure there are people there who have those drama moments na parang, oh, okay, so if I died, charot. So if I died, baka mo lang ako mamimiss, ganon. Charot!
Yun na nga yun eh. Parang, syempre, a lot of people only regret the not saying things or like not patching it up with other people once those people aren't really in their lives anymore. Whether they died or they're like not friends anymore. Diba? Parang dun na lang lumalabas yung ganong emotions. And yun yung maganda for this song. Especially, I think, the instrumentation in here sounds very churchy. Na parang may ooze sa beginning. That will really take you into that like choral vibe nga, as Kevin is saying.
We've gone from Speak Now to My Tears Ricochet. Charot.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Yes. I was thinking like this would I feel like production wise it's a step up over the Archer. I mean I as much as I still feel connected to the Archer in some way because like I still feel the what he was trying to say, although I actually think that this is a step up lyrically from the Archer because like the wordiness of it, it's a little more improved than the Humpty Dumpty thing that Cholo didn't like. And then what else? And then also like her voice is spotlighted more in here. That's what I and then I guess that's what I'm gonna say.
Ako last lang, I agree with Nat. I mean, this for me isn't a super special song. I mean, it's sad. Like I like listen. It's not a skippable song though. I mean, I still enjoy listening to it. But if there was one line that really hit me, I'm reading the lyrics right now, and it reminded me of my ex. Nako Lord, Taylor Swift,
Shout out
pigilan mo ko.
Uy, kailangan na talaga gawin yung episode na yun.
Kailangan,
Excess
yun na
season
nga. Just panoorin nyo. Anyway, the line was, you had to kill me, but it killed you just the same. And I'm not sure kasi if other couples have gone through this, but yung nandun na kayo sa parang you know that you have to break up. Tapos it's a mutual feeling na, but you still hold on to each other and you're not sure which one of you should say it first. And then you don't want to let go, you don't want to let each other go, but you know that it's the best thing to do for the both of you right now. So you just had to do it. And by letting them go, you're kind of, by hurting them, even though unintentionally, you're kind of hurting yourself too, because you're letting go of what you've been through or everything that, yeah, nako, ito na nga.
I
Lahat
love
ng
it. I love the folder of
feelings.
this.
So welcome to couples group therapy.
Thank you for listening to my story. Char! Therapy pala to.
It is. It's always, I mean, I guess it's very therapeutic in a sense to like see your life in other people's songs. And that's really the power of music in a sense nga na parang, you felt that just by reading the lyrics and then,
Yeah.
right?
And first of all, like, feel ko magkaibang tao naman kami ni Miss Taylor. Like, she's, di ba? She's super talented pop star. Ako corporate slave. Ganon. But imagine mo na her music speaks to a lot of people na they might be, seeing themselves in the same song. It's really nice. Iba, talented. Her mind, to be short.
Her mind.
Indeed. That's the title of this episode. Her mind.
Her mind.
Yes.
With emotion.
Taylor Swift,
Masabo.
Taylor Swift, her mind.
In cursive pa yung her mind.
Oo.
That font ng folklore.
I like that.
Okay. Any other words or any other thoughts about this before we move on? Okay. We're heading to track.
All too well pa rin.
Sorry, Kevin.
All too well pa rin.
Next, we head to track number 6, which is Mirrorball. And this is another Antonov collab. I must say, the Antonov collabs on this track aren't really my faves thus far. Because, I'm so sanay with Jack Antonoff's very, like, indie pop na sobrang upbeat song. So medyo, I don't know how to feel about these slower ones.
Anthemic is
Folklore
what you're
at least.
saying.
I love Mirrorball. I think for me it's one of my top 3. And like so we mentioned before earlier the reverb getting stronger as the tracks go by, and this is where it becomes like I guess the first signs of it being obvious, and it has the quality of I would say the Cranberries, like Linger.
Oh yeah.
Diba? So the way Taylor's singing voice here is very crooning. It's very like, I want you to know. Like, diba? Parang it's very calm and cool, but still powerful. And I think this is what makes it like, I guess, a timeless song. The same with Lover, the song. Like, I always have to say Lover the song, Lover the album. But with Lover the song, diba? Remember, you also had that sense of reverb. You had that sense of the acoustic guitar and all. This one really, really reminds me of Linger by the Cranberries because it has these magical elements to the song that takes you to a very specific feeling. And I think I mean, for me, bilang citizen ng Barangay Marupok, like, I like her saying na parang sa mga, like, you know, I
Kapit-bahay ko
will
pala
show
siya.
you. Diba?
Nasa isang village lang
Street
tayo
kasi.
lahat.
So, like, I like that she says, you know, I'll be who you want. Like, I reflect who you are,
And I can
show you
your
that side of
different sides in one night.
and it's spinning just for you. Like, I am parang ito na naman yung I feel like I love you, but I'm a toy for you. I am for your entertainment. You know, she has the idea of a disco at the same time the circus, her being on the tightrope. Like, she knows that she is this thing for entertainment, for someone's spectacle, diba? And I'm still a believer, but I don't know why. I've never been a natural, but all I do is try. And I love that line so much because, again, it's so vulnerable of her saying, like, I'm not the kind of, I don't know, some people it comes more naturally, but me, I have to work harder. And sometimes it comes at the expense of who she is, because then she puts on the role, she puts on who someone else expects her to be. Like, I'm a mirror ball, like a disco ball, essentially, and I'll show you every version of yourself tonight. Like, this is the reflection. This is me reflecting you. And when you're a reflection, what does that make you at your core? You're nothing. Like, you're just literally a reflective thing. And I think that's an interesting thought for me. Yun.
Actually, ang ganda ng explanation mo. Mas na-gets ko siya ngayon. Kasi parang, for me, I mean, you were really right in the sense na it's such a light, parang magaan pakinggan na parang it's so hush.
It's crooning.
And then the is on point. The whole cranberries linger. When you said that, I was like,
I told you, diba?
it unlocked that memory of the song, and it's like very Dolores ganong vibes.
Exactly, diba?
I'll
Just
listen to
the
that
first
after.
10 seconds of linger. Diba? Like, it's just guitar and a little bit of like arrangement to it, but it has that special quality that I felt with on this song on Mirror Ball and later on August. So maybe like I guess with Jack Antonoff, like, you hear it when he works with Lord, you hear it when he works like on the last album, and I think here it's a lot better because on the last album I was like, okay, it's nice, okay lang, but this one I think for me really, really works well. Like, it's a very studied piece. That's my take on it.
Yeah, ganda. I mean, yun nga, I guess kailangan ko pa talaga i-take in the rest of the Antonoff, like, what they call this? Antonoff squad. Ginawang squad yung mga kanta. Kasi mas, I guess I found myself a bit more inclined to really repeating a lot of the Desner stuff, which is generally the whole album. But the Antonoff like sequence, na tuloy-tuloy, the next one also is from Jack Antonoff, and that is 7. I think Nat also likes this song a lot. Or was that August ba?
No, not me. August ako. 7 sax lang.
7 is sakto. Me too.
See, 7.
Yeah,
Seven is
same.
basically the soundtrack. Okay. 7 is basically the soundtrack to all teen dramas from 2000 to 2006. The OC, you know, that sort of thing. Dawson's Creek, I guess.
Oh yeah. Pero ito yung parang ang ganda niyang sumakay ka lang ng kotse tapos i-play mo lang yung 7 na parang seeing the trees or seeing the ocean.
Yes.
That vibe, na road trip vibe.
Nakakamiss.
Parang, you kind of feel like you're outside and you can imagine yourself in your car seeing the outside.
Very Fresco. As in, Baguio Fresco yung level ng
Yeah, yung may pine trees, tas road trip lang.
More. Like, I think this song 7, like, this is his quality of him on the guitar. Like, this is the song that reminds me that a collaboration would be great.
And parang I guess if people have already noticed, I'm pretty sure they have, very on the nose yung mga titles. That the track 1 is The One, track 7 is 7, track 8 is August, which is the 8th month.
August.
So parang, you know,
Oh my
these are like
God.
the sort of Easter eggs on here that aren't really like necessarily Easter eggs because they're kind of like a given na parang 7, 7, 8, 8, 8. At malapit na mag-88 sa Shopee. Salamat, Shopee. Please sponsor us.
Or like clever wordplay, is what I'm saying.
Parang sabihin mo, salamat, Shopee. Taylor Swift 88. Sale malapit na po. But
I
August...
remember, like, I think in our last review, we said that, I think we talked about it's nice to have a friend. And it kind of has that like, kaleidoscope of music that there's, you know, I remember nice, I think it's the marimba and the guitar and so on. And here also it's like a lot of plucking and you feel it like a chime sort of, you know, the chime in a wind that hits different kind of notes at a time. And for me, I prefer this over It's Nice to Have a Friend. Like, I feel like from the Lover album, these match up to each other. Like, because the theme is also very innocent. It's a lot of like very young playfulness. They talk about games, they talk about pirates, they talk about like the childhood fantasies. And I think that being young is very it's nice. It's just that for me parang I don't know, it's not that I can't connect with it, it's just as a song it's okay. Like the same with It's Nice to Have a Friend. Like that one for me in the last album I didn't like so much. This one I like more, but it's still sax lang again. Another sax lang hit for me.
So are we talking about 7 or August? Nasa August
sorry,
na ba?
na.
Yeah, nasa August na tayo eh. Since we mentioned the 88.
Okay.
Pero yeah.
Salamat, Shopee.
Salamat, Shopee. Naka-orange si Franz ngayon. Pinapakita siya. Pero yun nga, parang tama nga. I actually remembered It's Nice to Have a Friend. Parang, wow, it sounds like you can get that song out of Lover and kind of like slip it in to Folklore a bit if you just change the arrangement na, di ba, parang make it a bit more folky or something. Kasi yung It's Nice to Have a Friend, medyo may ganung vibes na siya na medyo playing with other instruments not really in Lover. Ano ba yung instruments na yun? Di ko, mga marimba.
Marimba. When, give me like, bigyan kita notes. Kailangan pakinggan pa more, tapos magsusulat ako.
Pero yun nga, this whole Jack Antonoff tuloy-tuloy songs have a very distinct parang sound to them. Actually, yung 7 pala was not Jack Antonoff, that was Desner. And August is back to Antonoff.
Okay.
So the next Antonoff track we have is track number 9, which is This Is Me Trying. I think this is one of the fan fave also right now. It's really also, I guess, very relatable to a lot of people. Kevin wants to say something.
Yeah, this is the track that broke me on first listen. Yeah, because like, Cholo, you know why.
Yeah, but I guess you should expound a bit lang para, you know, they get why.
Yeah, I guess for like I've been in situations where for like job applications and also like for friendships where like you could have done better this but then this is you trying to get better and all that. You know, like the Rebecca Budge stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and you know,
but without the, you know,
it's a lot. It's a struggle that a lot of people are experiencing. It may not be like a super big struggle, but you know, a lot of people kasi may masabi lang na okay, yan na ba yun? Pero for you, it's like this is you trying literally na, you know, you're doing your best to either like repair a relationship or do better in your work, save your friendship or something like that. And ang ganda lang ng parang intention of like showing that this is you trying. I mean, how else can you put it na it's just like bearing yourself. Parang, yeah, it's like exposing your vulnerability na, okay, ito nga, sinusubukan ko nga eh. Parang, let me just explain myself to you that this is me trying, right? So, I mean, that's what I kind of got from that.
And also, the rant bridges return. Like, I love how the vocal runs in the bridge. Like, she was like, da 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 da. It's like, it gets really intense at that point.
Okay, and any others? Not a lot.
I like how
okay lang.
the line that struck me the most in this song would be they told me all of my cages were mental. And I think that really captures everything that Kevin and Cholo was saying. You know, I don't know if the Taylor Swift had an intention for this, pero parang it could be a song that could represent how people going through mental illnesses might be feeling. That, you know, there are people who, I mean, okay, coming from honesty and vulnerability, I've been there too. And parang, for me, this is the best that I can do. Just like what Cholo said. And people would say, iniisip mo lang yan. Alam mo yun, nasa utak mo lang yun. Diba? And then parang, as someone who's going through it, we don't really see it in their perspective. What we know is that we're having a hard time and we're just trying our best. And this is the best that we can do right now. And I think that's what makes this song beautiful. Yeah, I'm done, sorry.
I mean, I think there's a theme of gaslighting on this album. Like, yun nga, being told one thing and your anger and frustration being invalidated. And I think this is one song where you do feel it. Like we saw it earlier with The Last Great American Dynasty. We also saw it with Mike Year's Ricochet. I think it's the pain of being told that your pain is not valid. And Taylor knows this very well. And I think it shines in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grabe.
Her mind.
Again, her mind.
Again.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just really, ang ganda kasi ng vulnerability talaga na pinakita niya. Although, she's always been vulnerable, but to add the background music to it and increase the vulnerability even more so, it's like a killer combo for a lot of people na parang, you know, you're gonna get sad for a day because of
she takes you to the feeling. She just takes you there.
Ibang singer na yata yung Take You to the Feeling.
Iglesia ni Carly Rae na pala.
Collab.
Oh my gosh, what if Jack Antonoff makes like a collab album, Carly and Taylor, or Lord and Carly?
Yeah.
Lord
He
and
already did one.
All three.
He already did one. Terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible
but like,
Thrills Volume 2.
you know, I mean, making these collaborators collaborate with each other and not just cover his own songs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that would be
Good
amazing.
idea.
Imagine. Like an all-woman album. I mean, kind of like Terrible Thrills, Volume 2, but like with original songs and like maybe duets or something like that. That would be really interesting. Okay, dito na tayo sa track 10, which is Illicit Affairs. I'm sure marami ring makakaano dito, makahugot dito in multiple ways. I mean, syempre there's those...
Ako wala akong hugot. Sasabihin ko.
Wow!
Ay, nako. Ang dami kong masasabi dito sa kantang to. Ay, iba pa.
Ito, Arby, take it away.
Here we go.
And okay, sorry, this one's my favorite kasi right now. As in, when I think folklore, this one is the one that's catchy. I mean, I keep singing, don't call me kid, don't call me baby. Look at this godforsaken mess that you made me. Ang ganda nun eh. Grabe kasi, maybe it's where I'm coming from right now. Nako, Diyos ko po. Pakawala pala. But really, kasi for one, this is new for me, for Taylor Swift. Kasi this one is very outright there. One night stand or like, you know, yung tinatago mo that you have a relationship with someone. It's very, it's not usual Taylor Swift. So that's what I really liked about this one. It's like her, ano yun, Can't Be Tamed ni Miley Cyrus, but in a Taylor Swift way. That's not as bold or brash as Reputation. Kasi this one is still subtle and very soft. So that's what I really like about it. It still retained Taylor Swift's her roots when she started off with Fearless and Taylor Swift, the self-titled album. It's very that, but also very grown up. Like, you know na she's been to some illicit affairs at some point in her life. Ganon.
Well, I guess on Taylor's end, it's more on ano kasi, you know, the whole relationship with Joe wasn't even as public before then.
Yeah.
Parang, I guess she channeled some of that into this song na parang, you know, we kind of have to hide this because this is mine, this is ours, and we can't really like show the whole world this affair. I mean, they're not having an affair na may ibang involved, but like them
But
against
it's still
the world.
clandestine.
Yeah, exactly. And
that word.
Actually, yes, I feel that very much, especially dun sa parts na there's so many things that you've been through with a person who's your like illicit affair, but then you can't show that to a lot of people because it's not something that you're proud to share for one, or maybe it's something
May
that
nakarelate.
you don't. Diyos ko po, wag ako. In a different part. Like may mga hidden secrets ka na hindi ka pa out, so bawal may kwento sa friends mo or bawal may kwento sa ex mo siguro na mga bagay. And it's sad because I mean it seems like Taylor's telling a very good story na you showed me colors now I can't see with anyone else, or like you taught me a secret language I can't speak with anyone else. And I feel like na that's just very beautiful na you have a secret language with your secret partner. But it's also sad because that's something that will get lost if you two end your illicit affair. So it's sad, but at the same time, it's something that you treasure personally for the both of you. And I just really enjoy that. Grabe, yung secrets ko.
Mamaya pagkatapos ng recording. Pero yun nga parang you can have that whole, it's like another chameleon of a song that it can be put into so many different contexts. Kasi at the same time, I was thinking, all these rumors of Carly and Taylor, parang that could be also like an LGBT narrative into it, right?
Carly Rae? Just go.
No, I mean Carly Claus. Di ba may
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, di ba may parang rumors lang of all these
Yeah, from
Taylor
Cornelia
Cruisers.
Street to
yeah, so parang that could also be a different take on this, especially for our LGBT friends. Na a lot of these are illicit affairs if you think about it. Na sometimes you're hiding because you can't really show it to the whole world.
Or you're not ready yet to tell anybody else.
And you just have to like sneak out or like meet each other in secret.
Yeah, keep your hood
I
down.
think that's why this song works is because Taylor's attitude towards these, whether it's cheating or whether it's a hidden relationship or everything, like it comes from a place of deep understanding and sympathy. Like nafe-feel mo she wants to understand you, and she like because remember before in her very very Speak Now earlier songs should have said no, dear John, like very clear na parang you cheat or you hurt me, ikaw yung masama. But now she's giving this grown-up view that it takes two to tango. Like this, cheating does not happen as like some accident or whatever.
She's not just the victim, she's also the perpetrator at the same time. Like what Arby was saying kanina of like killing, parang ano yung sabi mo Arby kanina? Like
yung I killed you but I killed myself too. Parang something like that.
Ganun
sa previous
that
lyrics
vibe.
niya.
Na it's really showing her maturity na nga from what the days that Nat was mentioning, na yun na nga, dati siya lang yung victim lagi kaya ang daming nagagalit na okay, victim card ka na naman, ganyan. But ngayon, as even with This Is Me Trying, it's showing that opening it up to sympathy about another person or like compassion to another person and what they going into their shoes and getting into what kind of life they're living. And this is for me the best Antonov collab on this album. Kevin wants to add something also.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna say my only thoughts on this song was like looking at the lyrics. It's basically an expansion and a grown-up version of the themes that she presented in Love Story. Like the Romeo Take Me stuff like that.
I agree.
But a more grown-up kasi affair na talaga siya, ganun.
Yeah.
Di lang siya
Exactly.
di lang siya patweetums version.
Like, ready na si
Yeah, I
ma'am
think
for mature roles. Mature.
Gusto ko yeah. Like
With
I think
notes
what's
of
good is she says everyone gets hurt. Like hindi siya parang yun lang. She's just aware that this hurts everyone, and this was clear with the love triangle of Cardigan, August, Betty, which we'll go to in a bit towards the end. Pero yun nga, it's everyone gets hurt. It's nobody wins. Nobody wins at all.
And that I guess that
hurt people.
Yeah. And that really speaks about the whole album as well, na parang we have to understand that the world we live in is not always bubblegum pop. It's also folklore.
Folklore.
Parang
It's
sad
also
songs
folklore.
because even if we have these sad songs dressed up as pop songs, having songs like this or like an album like this gets you like realizing things and like reflecting a bit more and like just like opening yourself up to the sadness that you didn't know was in you at the same time. Wow, therapy
Cholo
na
knows
talaga to.
that. Cholo knows that.
But yeah, it's just really that. And I guess we head on to a bit more parang lighter territory with track number 11, which is Invisible String. Another one, I think this is one of my other faves also from the
Yes.
album.
Yes.
It's
So
very
catchy
It's
eh.
yeah, it's a callback to the self-titled era, especially our song like that,
yeah.
or Superstar from Fearless Platinum Edition. As far as I can remember, especially the fingerstyle guitar that's going on in the background, which was actually revealed in April.
Yeah. And parang, ewan ko parang you can actually put this in Lover, I feel. Medyo vibes niya yung may pagka-light din ng Lover na, you know, kasi in Lover we mentioned last episode that, it's always,
They use the
Taylor would
colors
mention
then
the color
also.
blue all the time, red.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
she puts that whole theme of color into the lyrics of Invisible String na, for one, 'di ba, ang pinakasikat na iteration of the Invisible String is the red string of fate. But also, she mentions the color teal, color pink, a lot of these different colors that signify different times in her life, in Joe's life, presumably in Joe's life. And it's just so cute.
Yeah, I
Na
think it's
parang,
very reflective of her view now on love. Maybe because before it was more about passion, desire, wanting to own and like always be with someone. Now it's recognizing that sometimes you have to go through all the shit in your life for you to end up becoming who you are, and that's the person you present to who your partner today. And I think that's it's very wise of her. Parang it's very accepting, it's very profound that, I went through everything. I went through my own fate in life to end up with you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Parang for me that's what's so nice about this song. Parang it's just grabe, parang sarap magmahal, charot.
actually, I mean, yun na nga for me, I would kind of compare it to like a different take on the song Lover. Now, this is kind of like embracing and accepting and being satisfied with someone and like whatever else came before it. It's kind of like the theme that Lover, the song, presented na, it's like, can I be, can I go where you go? Diba? All those like feelings are also in this song, Invisible String. And it's, ang cute lang ng concept ng Japanese na nakuha na yung Japanese
Yeah.
Invisible String, Red String of Fate. And it's just like, yun nga, sana all tong kantang to na parang, we all wish we could find our invisible string or untangle our red string of fate and find that one, the one. Joke, ibang the one na pala yun.
True.
But yeah, it's just, it's very hopeful and very satisfying and very, parang after all the hurt that she gave you in the past few songs that came before it, it's like something very, parang mapapasaya ka ng konti. And it gives you hope that one day you will unravel time because time is so curious, time is mystical, and all these things she says about, yun nga, gusto ko rin yung part na Bad was the blood of the song in the cab on your first trip to LA. Parang, oh my gosh, that's the callback to Bad Blood.
Yeah.
All these things.
Yes.
It's just like super, ang ganda ng narrative na ginawa ng song na to. So yun, ang dami ko sinabi about Invisible String.
No, because it's a good song. It's a really good feel-good song after listening to a lot of songs that were kind of like long. You know what I mean? I mean, they're good, but parang with the vibe that it's giving, they could feel a little lengthy.
Yeah.
Diba? And then it gives you this like invisible string that just really it's a perfect song that takes you towards the end. Na parang it's gonna speed things up a little bit, give you a little bit of a good vibe after all these like vulnerability.
Yeah.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah. And siguro last two fun facts. Parang she uses the color gold again to describe Joe, her love for Joe. Like it says that one single thread of gold tied me to you, which she already used in Daylight as well, and
Yeah.
Dancing with Our Hands Tied also. So parang ang ganda lang. And that lyric where she says, cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boys who broke my heart. Now I send their babies presents. Is this
As
about
a-
Joe Jonas?
Ganda, no?
Wala pa namang baby. Wala pa naman siyang baby, pero gets. It's like really,
Like she's come to terms with her
Reportedly.
baggage.
yeah. It's just
Oh.
like coming full circle na she's found her peace and, you know, she's happy with her life. And hopefully we will root for her relationship with Joe, another Joe in her life. Any other thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm actually warming up to this song now more and more. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So we are down to our last 1, 2,
5?
4, 5 songs.
5 songs.
Okay, this is Mad Woman is the next song. For me, it's a really another great way of putting the struggles she's faced into another song and putting a narrative into it with the witch hunts and all that. Pero syempre, ako as a guy, I can't completely relate to that. Although I'm seeing it from an outsider's point of view, where you see women experiencing this type of like stereotype na, oh, you're a mad woman, you're crazy. Parang all these-
Gaslighting.
yeah, the gaslighting nga. And I'd like to hear from Nat and Arby on this, especially because, you know, you experience it more than, or we experience it and we just like observe
Yeah.
more or less.
I mean, the lyric goes like, every time you call me crazy, like it's a reinforcing loop, diba? It's a feedback loop, and the more you tell women na you're overreacting, you're
Yeah.
ano ba yan, you're
Relax,
crazy girl,
relax
or
lang.
relax lang, diba? Like mas mapipikon ka kasi it's invalidating, and I think, you know, what's different now versus I guess with prior albums is like there is Taylor Swift is mad still, but this madness no longer drives her. Like, you know, hindi na siya yung defensive eh. Like she's like, I'm going to proactively challenge it and take it on. Kasi noon, like sometimes, you know, because again, as a victim of the patriarchal culture we're in, she was really scrutinized unfairly, and for her that's very hurtful, and for that baggage to build up over the years, this is part of her work undoing it. We saw it in Lover, we're seeing it here again, and you can really feel that she's making progress with it, and I feel proud of her for doing that and for speaking up about these things. That's why mas bet ko yung mga ganitong songs rather than The Man. Like ito talaga yung. And I mean, she says like, or does she mouth "fuck you forever"? Like, come on, like let's get this feisty Miss Swift with the explicit song. Yeah, I mean, it's again gaslighting, but what she thinks and what we can learn about it from this song.
Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Nat. As in, kasi in here, she keeps talking about how it was probably the media. I assume it's probably the media or what her haters say about her that drive her this mad. And then this is a very powerful song. I mean, it reminds me of Mad World. I don't know. There's something about the melody in the music that reminds me of Mad World. Because aside from that, sobrang may isa akong Easter egg that I've noticed. I'm not sure if it's that, but it's obvious that
Clowns
Wanting
to
Me
the
Dead.
West.
Actually, it's obvious that Wanting Me Dead has really brought you two together. Kasi I remember yung issue with Kanye West, na parang yung yung denoise record siya, na she said yes to being called, parang I made a bitch famous. It's with Kim Kardashian, and it was obvious that this couple was enjoying whatever they did or whatever they were doing to Taylor Swift, and then naging scandal yon na Taylor said yes pala, and then she got mad na she didn't say yes pala in that. So it's things like that the media blow up, and that her fans blow up, and that some of her fans turn on her, that makes her seem that makes her angry. Kasi yun nga, it turns into gaslighting. Kasi parang she's not sure anymore what she said yes to. Like, did I really say yes to that? I don't remember. And then she doubts herself, and this is something that women face talaga, na they're not sure. Oh, I probably led him the wrong way, and then he thought na it was okay to bring me home and do these things to me. Yung mga ganong questions. Tapos, aside from mad as in angry, mad as in crazy. Like, kasi you're not sure na if what you thought you said was what you really said, and then you start doubting yourself and getting into your head a lot. And grabe, this song talaga, her mind again. Iba kasi na I'm sure a lot of women will resonate to this song, even those na hindi big fans of Taylor Swift, because it's something that all women have probably gone through na at some point in their life, and that you just have to keep fighting, and maybe not in the vicious way that she did in Reputation, but in a more subtle way like this, na very self-aware, na, just keep fighting, na it's okay to be mad. It doesn't make you crazy if you go mad. So yeah, that's what I really like about it.
Pero ang ganda kasi ng, the characterization of it, na
Yeah.
it's in that narrative also of the imagined narrative of the whole Betty story, and having all that said to you, especially I guess in the olden times, if we are to believe that that's the narrative of the song and the songs that came before it, parang it's nice to see how she characterizes that into this song, and how someone could feel when they feel this way. It's just it's just really nice na it's in song form, and that's what I appreciate about it.
I also love how like the calmness of the production behind it. It contrasts to the more intense kind of thing. And I think like the way that the production was done, it's low key showing the societal pressures versus the inner emotions like that. So that's pretty smart.
Yeah. So, any last words on this song? Okay, next song na tayo, which is track 13, Epiphany. Actually, wala akong masyado masabi about this because I haven't fully thoroughly listened to it or gotten into the lyrics as far as this song goes. But Kevin, I think, wants to say something.
Yeah. Okay, what I got from this was I like how churchy the entire production sounds. But then when I look at the lyrics, I mean, it did say that it's been implied that it talks about Taylor's grandfather's experiences in the war on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's actually something for our frontliners who are dealing with COVID right now.
Yeah.
So in a way, I feel like this is a really good, a really good song that describes the times that we're living in right now.
Yeah. I think the intention nga was actually about living in this world we're living in right now. So it's nice to have that kind of tribute in this narrative or in this album. Especially, syempre, all the sad things happening around us, we can't help it. It's a reality we face right now. And, it's nice to have someone in music or everyone in music trying to uplift us or trying to give us this kind of hope and wisdom in a song or in an album, because music is one of the things that are getting people by, and it's what gets people together, like what we're doing now. We talk about the music, we have these discourse parang threads on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and our chat group. So it's just nice to have that kind of coming together for this song.
I think the fact that it's again storytelling, like we talked about that at the start. Na this album, it's called Folklore because she's writing about characters. Like this for me is like her Joanne, right? Like the way Lady Gaga talks about her aunt that she never met, but she sings about her.
Yeah.
And here naman, she sings about her grandfather's war experiences. Like she tries to I think what's been fun about this album is she puts herself in the shoes of someone else per song.
Yeah.
And you get this sense of characters. And this is, for me, maybe this is why this song didn't like resonate. Like it's okay lang for me because it's a war story and like the horrors of brutality and so on. And she tries to imagine that. She tries to set the scene. I think it's really interesting. It's like an exercise in the creativity and not having lived through it, but being able to sing about it. And it's folklore, and folklore is all about passing on a story. And this is the story that runs in your family. So I thought that was really interesting.
And it's really nice. It really shows her lyrical genius to be able to do that. Kasi nga, how much more can you get from your own life at this point in time na you're happy, you're satisfied with your love life, there's not any drama happening. Ano yung mga pwede mong paghugutan, and ito nga nagawa niya yung ganung bagay with all these songs, and it's really nice na parang for once we find something different, yet it also still feels very personal, not just for the audience but also for her. I think syempre a part of her is still in all of the songs, the fact that she could write that way about all these people. And with that, we're moving on to the next narrative, which is Betty. Another fan favorite, because I've at the time that I listened to the album, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I love Betty! I love Betty! Betty's one of my favorites." And true enough, Betty is one of my favorites on the album as well. And it goes back to that whole cheater narrative. And this is about the two friends, the girls, essentially, who like had bad blood. And ang ganda lang, parang before I realized there was this whole Betty love triangle thing, parang I was like, sino kaya si Betty? Parang di naman niya na-mention si Betty with kaibigan nila ni ano.
Kala ko nga dati, nagpapakavakla si Madam. I was like, oh my God, LGBT. Ano ba to? Ito na yung coming out song niya. Yung coming out song niya.
People were saying na Betty is Carly.
And then si Joe yung in the middle of it, ganun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For me, like now that we're here at going with the James point of view, like you have early on in Cardigan, like it's more romantic the way Betty would sing about the cobblestones, the times they hung out and everything. And we didn't talk so much in August, but the point of view of the side girl or whoever she is, the third party, she clears out her plans for him, diba? Like whenever she's ready, and remember she says get it, drive, and then this is repeated again here. But I like that James goes, she pulled up like a figment of my worst intentions. Parang alam niyang nase-seduce siya eh. Alam niyang natatempt siya. And okay, maybe they weren't a couple. Maybe this James and Betty weren't a couple, so technically legal or whatever, diba? But it doesn't make it any less hurtful. And, those days turned into nights, like they were together all summer. It was a summer fling. And the thing is, the third girl, she always knew naman na hanggang ganun lang. Pero gusto niyang umasa eh. And then now you have it from the guy's point of view.
Yeah.
You have the contrast of Betty in Cardigan singing when you're young, they assume you know nothing. Versus here, as a guy, James is saying, I'm only 17 and I don't know anything. And for me, like, look at what we expect from guys to not know anything. Like, okay lang, like, as long as mag-sorry ka. But women are expected to learn and grow older and be aware of the mistakes that these men make. I feel like it's so beautiful. Diba? Parang, I think it's really, really, really good that, James is still pure with his intentions. Like, he's coming to her house to apologize. And he doesn't know if she's going to take him or not. But we already knew in Cardigan that Betty was sure that she's going to take him. She's sure he's going to apologize and he's going to do this. So may foreshadowing na eh. Like, if you read it talaga, it's a clear, like callback to that. And I like that it's here at the start of the album versus like the book end na rin towards this part. So my take on it is my read of the ending is that they get back together because why? there is an octave change, meaning it gets happier, diba?
Yeah.
The same way you have an octave change in a love story, diba? He knelt to the Romeo, diba? It goes higher,
Yeah.
because you feel the euphoria, the excitement, and that's why I read this song as, in the end, like, at least for the high school ending, is that tinanggap siya back, diba? Kasi like in the end, it's I showed up, nandun na siya. But the way it's being sung is very happy. Hindi siya naging minor key, hindi siya naging, like, it's triumphant almost. Parang
Yeah,
nag-succeed
it's parang
si Guy.
hoping, ano na siya, hoping for the best na siya. Hindi na siya hoping na, oh, will she tell me to go fuck myself? But it's more like, I'm hoping she will kiss me. And this one, parang mas like, magaan na yung hopes niya. Ganda nun, man.
And I like the, and him singing, you know, and the guy's point of view is standing in your cardigan, kissing in your car again. I love that, like, that it rolls off the tongue, the lyricism. Cardigan, car again. And it's like, oh, I love that. Like, it's, again, it's the same metaphors, same imagery, same plot and everything, but you have the sides of it. Parang, in the Grove ka, girl, Rashomon. Charot. So parang, sobrang galing. Honestly, this whole album, I think, is like, you know, how we have in classic literature, you have the Canterbury Tales, you have these collections of characters. Parang, this is up there, eh. Like, this is modern day
musical
universe. Exactly. It's a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed this song. This was one of my top for sure.
And to find the connection between everything in itself, it's like, so her mind.
Her mind.
And like, yun nga, parang what I appreciated about this song, aside from the beat, aside from how parang a bit upbeat it is, it's also about how hopeful it is. Not just about the relationship part of mending the relationship, but also about the friendship. Parang mas nakuha ko nga friendship than relationship nila, na parang, you know, diba the foundation naman of a relationship is supposedly a friendship. So parang ang ganda nung parang ganung aspect of it then na, you know, can I go to your party? I know you wouldn't like me there. What will you do when I get there? Those like callbacks to like, it can also be for another friend na parang you fought with or something, or you had an argument with, disagreement. And then parang this is a song you can dedicate to them na parang, you know, we can make amends at the end of the day, maybe even in a few years. We never know these like things, but it's very nice to have that kind of song also na about, kasi before, you know, we always love her for all her petty songs, but Betty is not petty for me. It's like more, it's more mature nga, a mature take na you apologize. You don't just write a song saying, ano, we have bad blood, or this is why we can't have nice things, or what else? Look what you made me do. Diba? Parang mga ganong bagay na very aggressive eh. This
Yes.
one's I really like the mature take on it and the mature way of handling relationships, whether it's a friendship or a romantic one. So it's just it's a nice maturity that comes along with the age, I guess, and also the genre and the storyline, that all the layers that are put into it. So yun.
The character development jumped out, the growth jumped out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now we're down to our last two songs. The next one is Peace, which I also really like.
I love it.
Ang ganda rin ng, you know, it's kind of like calls me back to call it what you want. Parang ganon. Na parang you're offering yourself as a whole. Na parang, would you still love me even if I can't give you peace? That whole narrative for me is so nice. Na parang, this is what relationships are supposed to be about. It's not one giving up for another, but the two like mending, parang the two like combining themselves and like taking each other for what they are. Kasi especially thinking of Taylor's narrative na, will Joe ever have peace for being just labeled as Taylor Swift's
boyfriend? Yes.
Or like, you know, with Taylor's very high profile kasi yung buhay ni Taylor in general. So like, you know, that you're never gonna have that normal private life You're always
Yes.
gonna have that illicit affair, and that parang Taylor's just asking, will you still love me even if I can't give you this piece? And it's just like super wow na
Ang
parang
ganda.
it's take me as I am. Basically, at parang the bottom line of the song is take me as I am, which is what people ask for in a relationship na, let's find the compromise between each other. I mean, parang akala mo nakapag-experience ako ng ganun. Pero, that kind of like, this is me. And, just let's find our peace together. And it's just really nice to have that whole narrative parang at the back end of the album as it closes. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Call it what you want, and also delicate. Also, I'm noticing some hints of delicate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how sparse the production is. Like, it reminds you of, it's basically the song equivalent of how, remember in La La Land, where whenever something happens between two people, there's a spotlight going on, and then it's all on them. It's something like that. Yeah.
Any other insights on this? Or natapos na ba
I
yung
think
therapy
it's
part?
a nice way of it winding down the album.
Yeah.
Parang, I think that for me, I want to talk about it in the context of hoax, like the two.
Yeah.
Like, yun nga, there's love, but there's also betrayal, and you see these as two sides of a relationship. And I think as an ending, ang ganda. Like, I just find the two, like, the two on their own, they're okay. Like, they're not necessarily the most memorable to me, but they work so well as an ending for this creative exercise for her of all these characters, of all these plot lines. Parang natali siya at the end very well. Even if at the end we're left with pain, which is the betrayal, the hoax, like finding out that what you were told was not true. It's dishonesty. But I guess that's the playfulness of being a fiction writer in this album. Kasi nga, she gets to lie out of creativity and string all these plot lines. And it doesn't even have to be about her life, but she's able to write these things and to allow us to be part of it. And I like that it ends on a very sad note even. So parang I find that just all very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I
Like,
guess
ending like this.
that kind of like, that kind of captures na as we go to the last song, which is Hoax, na, ang ganda ng narrative talaga. At the end of it, ang ganda ng buong narrative na nabuo dito. And you can arrange it the way you want. Pero the way that she did it with all the highs and the lows and all the lyrics and all the stories behind it, it's just like, wow, we never asked for this, but we got it. And her mind just like blessed us with this. Any last thoughts on Hoax, siguro, before we head to the last part of our review of Folklore?
Movies lang. So she just really likes movies and film as a theme throughout the album.
Yeah.
Because she talks again about like knowing already what the ending is. The hero died, so what's the movie for? And ayun lang, like she's like it's so tight. It's a tight seal of the storytelling. Na whatever plot devices we've seen early on, there was no smoking gun that wasn't fired by the end. And I think that's what's been great about this album.
And ito, si Reg may gusto ring sabihin about Hoax. She says that this is a break in the Taylor Swift tradition of ending with new beginnings, such as Clean or New Year's Day or Begin Again. Because this feels like a bit more, yun nga, as Nat was saying, parang mas sad siya and mas hopeless yung Pero yun nga, as Reg would say in her notes that she left us, she feels like, it's apt for the quarantines or the, what we're experiencing na it shows na narratives don't always have to have neat bookends, as Reg is saying here in the notes.
Yeah.
So it's just, I agree. That's true. Na parang, it's so uncertain. It's nice to have that break of being sad and listening to a whole album. But at the end of the day, we're also back to reality of the realities we're facing. And it's not really the best reality right now, especially for a lot of people out there. So, we're hoping for the best all the time. And that brings us to our own narratives na, we try our best to act on what's happening around us, speak up about the things that are happening around us. And at the end of the day, I guess, write our own narratives and, make the next chapter in this world happen because it's not happening right now. Yun, parang ang gandang reading yun ni Reg. Kevin, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
I was gonna say that I was gonna say that everyone nailed it on the head first of all. So I felt like it was the flip side to New Year's Day on the one hand, and I also feel like Hoax is like the musical equivalent of if you've seen Requiem for a Dream, the ending of Requiem for a Dream where everyone
Don't
is
spoil.
like, but yeah, the ending to Requiem for a Dream. Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of wraps up the whole album for now because there's a 17th track, the bonus track, which is called The Lakes, which no one has heard of until this point because it comes out with the physical version of the album. So we'll have around maybe 2 weeks more until we get to listen to that. And I hope it's another good song that we can all dissect in the future. But I guess before we end, what is our final verdict on the album? I guess we can go per person to person. Kevin can start.
Okay, so yeah, even though like my thoughts on each song individually has improved now after so many listens, my thought still stands that it's very refreshing for Taylor to not sing about herself too much. Like if she's gonna sing about herself, it's gonna be a lot more low key. Like you're gonna have to dig in deeper. And then I feel like the longevity of this album and the cultural zeitgeist, if hopefully I'm clear on that, the cultural zeitgeist, it's gonna be dictated by how much it's gonna be dissected in terms of content. And I also like how she took left field turns when it comes to sonic direction and all that. So all in all, again, I said this again and again, refreshing, 4 out of 5. Because like I feel like the middle section blends too much that it can get really, indistinguishable somehow. But I still, again, refreshing. And also emotionally impactful still.
Okay, Franz.
For me, it's the same with Kevin. It's very, very refreshing album. And what I love about it in general talaga is that the music, the production, the lyrics, how everything is just given to you. It's really makes you feel like you're sitting inside the room, either with your thoughts or you're just really there having a deep conversation with Taylor herself. Wherein she, like Kevin said, she's not even talking about herself, but you're getting something beautiful out of it. Just like how we all discussed throughout this album, all these deep things that we dug up. It feels like you're talking to Taylor like that. Like it's a very mature take on a lot of things. And for me, I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. And siguro the 0.5 for me is that because hindi pa talaga nag-stick sa akin yung
iba.
Some from the end. There were some songs that, you know that it's a very cohesive album, very well produced, fresh take. Obviously, Taylor Swift is going to make folk a thing. I mean, like a bigger thing than it is already because of this. But, yun nga, there are still some songs that